before Rome, before Greece, before Egypt's pyramids, there was a city hidden from time itself, carved from rose-red stone, lost for 1,000 years. This is Petra, the Lost Rose City. The year is 1812. In the harsh deserts of what is now Jordan, Bedouin tribes whispered of ancient ruins hidden deep in the mountains, but they guarded their secret fiercely, believing spirits guarded the lost city. A Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt heard these whispers. He was intelligent, determined, and willing to risk everything. He disguised himself as an Arab pilgrim, learning their language and customs for years. Finally, he convinced Bedouin guides to take him to a nearby tomb where a prophet was said to be buried. They led him through a narrow canyon, the Sick. The Sick is a natural wonder itself, nearly a mile long, with walls rising 600 feet on either side. The sunlight barely reaches the bottom. The walls swallow all sound except the echo of your own footsteps. Burckhardt walked deeper and deeper into the canyon. The walls grew closer. The sky became just a thin strip of blue above him. And then, through a crack in the stone, he saw it, a towering temple carved directly from the cliff face, 40 meters high. Perfect Corinthian columns, intricate carvings, untouched for centuries. The treasury of Petra. But who built this wonder? The Nabataeans. In the 4th century BCE, they were described as nomadic tent dwellers, wandering the desert with their herds. Yet, just 3 centuries later, they had built Petra. The Nabataeans controlled the incense trade: frankincense from southern Arabia, myrrh from Somalia, spices from India, silk from China. Their caravans crossed the desert carrying treasures that would make kings weep. Archaeologists have found perfume bottles, fine pottery, and coins along the incense road, proof of their enormous wealth. At its peak, Petra housed between 20 and 30,000 people. This wasn't just a trading post. This was a metropolis in the middle of nowhere. They built temples, markets, homes, and tombs. A complete civilization carved from stone. Look closely at the architecture. Here you see Greek influence, those columns are Corinthian. But here, Egyptian influences, and here, something entirely unique. The Nabataeans borrowed from every culture they traded with and created their own distinct style. Geologist Tom Paradis has spent over 30 years studying Petra. He's examined every chisel mark, every carved surface, and he still calls their work magic. So how did they do it? One unfinished tomb reveals their secret. They started at the top. Workers carved downward. Standing on ledges, they cut into the rock as they descended. When they reached the bottom, those ledges were going erased, leaving no trace of how they worked. The chisels they used, iron, the same tools stonemasons use today. The only difference was time and patience. Over 800 tombs and monuments carved from these cliffs. But here's what makes absolutely no sense. Petra sits in one of the most bone-dry deserts on Earth. There's no river, no lake, no visible water source at all. It's not an appropriate location for a city, says hydro-engineer Uli Bella. There's not even drinking water down there. Yet 30,000 people lived here for centuries. The Nabataeans found water sources miles away like Ain Musa, the spring of Moses. They carved channels directly into the cliffs, guiding water through the desert with incredible precision. They built clay pipes, massive cisterns carved from bedrock, and dams to control flash floods. Engineers today have calculated the slope of their channels just 4 degrees, perfect for steady water flow without erosion. The result? Fountains, bathhouses, and pools in the middle of the Arabian desert. As one archaeologist put it, conspicuous consumption of water, showing off their wealth by making water flow where it shouldn't. Over 800 tombs and monuments carved from these cliffs. A 6,000-seat theater carved from solid rock. A main street lined with temples and markets. Suburbs stretching for miles. But here's the most haunting part. Archaeologists have only excavated about 2% of Petra. 2%. 80% of this city temples, homes, markets. Secret still lies underground. Wait, so what happened to the people who carved heaven from rock? In 106 AD, Emperor Trajan of Rome looked at Nabataean wealth and wanted it. Rome annexed the kingdom. Trade routes shifted north. Petra survived, but its heart was gone. Then, in 363 AD, a massive earthquake struck the region. The water channels cracked, the cisterns shattered. The dams broke. Without water, the city couldn't survive. One by one, the people left. The fountains ran dry. The markets fell silent. Sand began to cover the tombs. For 1,000 years, Petra slept. Only Bedouin nomads knew its secrets. They camped in the caves, told stories of the spirits that guarded the treasury. The world forgot Petra existed until 1812, when one man, disguised as a pilgrim, walked through that canyon and found a ghost. Johann Borchardt had rediscovered Petra, but he died just 5 years later, never knowing the full significance of his discovery. Today, Petra is one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Millions visit every year. They walk the same path Borchardt walked. They touch the same stones. They feel the same awe he felt over 200 years ago. Because 2,000 years after it was built, Petra still takes your breath away. The rose-red stone glows in the sunset. The carvings still hold their sharp edges. The mystery remains. But remember, 80% of Petra is still underground. What lies beneath? More temples, more tombs. The answers to questions we haven't even asked yet. We don't know. Not yet. Lost cities, forgotten civilizations. Buried secrets. This is what we explore. This is just the beginning. Subscribe and join us as we uncover the world's lost wonders. From Petra to places even more mysterious, the past is waiting to be found.